Maryland adds another huge pickup in the transfer portal.
You are Locked On Terps, your daily podcast on the Maryland Terps, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, everyone? I'm Tre Moore, host of Locked On Terps, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So thank you guys for making us part of your day. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel is officially in playoff mode. Every game during the NFL playoffs, FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get on the action. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Maryland football adds one of the better players, I think, in our portal class, and arguably maybe the most important player in Maryland football's portal class, you could argue. There's some other guys that you could say as well, but for my money, this one might be the most important get so far in the transfer portal. And right now we have 9 incoming transfers compared to 16 outgoing guys. And 16 really isn't a bad number when you really look at it, losing 16 guys. Like I've said before, it's not a ton of guys that I'm like, dang, like that really hurts to lose. It's kind of guys that I expected to go or don't kill us. Meanwhile, on the other side, we're getting some good players that I'm excited about, that I think are good guys to be able to add. And I've liked what Mike Locksley has done, and I'm going to continue to kind of see where this thing goes. But I'm really excited about this new kid that we just recently got that I think is going to improve a position group that I've said has to be better for Maryland football, has to be better. It's a position group that's been awful. It's been awful under Mike Locksley. It hasn't worked. It's held us back in a lot of different ways, and it's the offensive line. It's the offensive line. We've been a bottom group in the Big Ten under Mike Locksley. We haven't been able to figure out. Last year, we added guys in the portal. There was guys that came up. We did a lot of different things to try and address it last year. Similar kind of conversation as a lot of the guys on the defensive line. Excuse me, a little tired this evening, but we've done a lot to address the offensive line, and just flat out, it's been bad. And it's been something that holds back our quarterback play, whether it was Talia, whether it was Billy Edwards, whether it is now what it is, Malik Washington, which is obviously the most important thing on our mind, is Malik Washington playing at a high level, Malik Washington improving, giving the best opportunity for Malik Washington to be really good. And our offensive line has to be better for that. And that's a big reason why I think adding this kid, Talik Lockett, is a really big deal for Maryland football. I think he's one of the better offensive line prospects that we probably couldn't get. I don't know if people would consider him one of the top offensive linemen in the portal, but I think he's kind of going a little bit under the radar. They have him as the 65th ranked interior offensive lineman. I think he's better than that at 6'3", 330 pounds. He's absolutely huge. He's absolutely huge. Played pretty solid football at Texas State, so it's not like he's coming from like somewhere that's just like, we've had some players come like, it'll come from like D2 and we'll be like, I don't know, like Texas State's not a bad place to come from at all. And he's a guard, which is exactly, when you look at Maryland's football roster, exactly what we need. And I really think he's going to help Maryland football. And just a little bit of projection, I do expect him to be a starter next year, and I think he's going to be really good for Maryland football. He's big, he's powerful, and so he should be able to help us in a lot of different ways on the offensive line. When you look at it, we need help. We need help. We lose a lot of our guys on the offensive line, whether it's Alu Bao, Alan Heron, or Isaiah Wright. Like, we're losing guys, especially on the interior. I know we're bringing back Ratrell Perry. I know we're bringing back Michael Hershey. And I know Ryan Howerton's coming back, played a lot. I know Amari Hills, the freshman, played a lot. I know Jalen Gilchrist. I know he was hurt last year, but he should be a lot better and ready to go next year. I'm hoping, and maybe projects as a starter as well. But adding a guard that's had starting experience and good starting experience, like this kid has been good at Texas State. Like it's not like this guy's been a drag. It's not like this guy hasn't played at a high level. He's been playing at a pretty high level at Texas State, and it's exciting to see what he potentially could be for us. And so losing a Lou Bao and him playing right guard, I think he could slide right in there, and then we can let some of the younger guys, Amari Hills, Ryan Howerton, Jalen Gilchrist, compete for some of the other spots on the offensive line. But a big reason why I'm really excited about this commit is he's been one of the top graded offensive linemen in the group of 5, according to PFF. So he's really dominated that level. And I'm hoping for a large part that kind of continues at Maryland, and it continues kind of showing itself at Maryland, and it doesn't have a huge drop off. Like we've seen guys come in, play at a high level wherever they came from, whether it was D2, lower D1, like whatever the case is, we've seen that, and then they drop off when they hit the Big Ten level. I kind of have the feeling with this kid that he's going to continue to be really good, just based off of some of his attributes, based on the level of play that he was playing at, and he addresses a need. I think we're going to love him. I think Malik Washington is going to really love him. I'm hoping Malik Washington gets more time. I'm hoping Malik Washington feels more comfortable. I'm hoping this helps him have a big year. That's why I argue, I'm like, this guy might be the most important player in the portal, because I would say right now our defense is good. Like we're getting a lot of guys back. Honestly, every position group in the field looks pretty good, but you look at the offensive line, the receiver room, and you're like, I just don't know. Everywhere else looks pretty good, I would say. Like I feel pretty confident in everywhere else, but the offensive line addressing a hole in the guard position with an experienced player, I think is really important, where it takes a little bit less pressure to play one of these young guys that we project to be good, but could use another year. Now, will they be here another year if they don't end up starting at left guard or at tackle or whatever the position is? Probably not. Or I don't want to say probably not, but there's probably a good chance not. But you address that when that happens. We're just worried about college football is kind of like a year-to-year thing now. You can't really like project too much, but I talked about Malik Washington helping. But one thing is that when I think about the offensive line play, I think tackles really help the pass game, while guards really help the run game. I know guards still help the pass game and are important for pass protections, and tackles are important for the run game. But if we want to run between the tackles a little bit, it's going to be about our guard and centers getting a push and be able to do some different things on the offensive line. And so as much as he helps Malik Washington, I think maybe number one thing that he's going to hopefully do is open up some run lanes for some of these running backs that we're hopefully going to have playing at a high level, whether it's DeJuan Williams or whether it's Iverson Howard, or whether it's a transfer that we picked up, the Dalton kid from USC, Harry Dalton III. Whether it's any of those 3 guys, you hope they can play at a pretty high level for Maryland football. And hopefully the guard spot, we get a little bit more push this year. We're able to push people back a little bit more. We're bigger, we're stronger. We're able to have a little bit more ability up front. And hopefully we get more push from those guys, because last year there just wasn't much of it. Couldn't really run between the tackles. Couldn't really do too much of that. And that's something I really want to see Maryland football be able to do. And that's something, to me, that's important. It's important to be able to run the football, and I think it'll make it that much easier on Malik Washington, and that's why I think this kid's a really big portal get. He's done it at a really high level, like I said, being one of the top guys rated on PFF, and he's got those attributes, and he fits a position group of need. Like, I think those two things together make a really good portal addition, and I like it from Mike Locksley. I do. I think it's a good add. I know he was considering some other places. Like, I was reading some other like high-level football programs wanted him, which is always a good sign to know that. Schools like Texas, I saw, like I think Rutgers, like, and there's many others, I'm sure. But just a couple that I read just quickly when I was reading about him, looked out for this kid. So I'm excited to get him. I think it's a good addition, and I like where this portal class is headed. I think there's a lot of good in it. I think that we are getting a lot of guys back as well. think it's making sense, and I think we're going in the right direction. And I want to continue to see Maryland football be able to do that. And I still think there's places we can add. I think we can add a tackle. I think is going to be really big if we can add a solid, hopefully starting level tackle. I think that would kind of take us over the edge. But I like where we're at currently. A couple key players announced that they will be back next year for Maryland football. We'll talk about that next. FanDuel is officially in playoff mode. Every game day during the NFL playoffs, FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get in on the action. Because right now, every NFL playoff game day, FanDuel users get a profit boost pack waiting for them inside the app. Each game day, you'll see a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts you can apply to bets that you like most. Open your profit boost packs first thing on game day and see what boost you want to apply. The boost lets you lean into your game day instincts, whether you're backing momentum, defense, quarterback play, or coaching. The boost gives you more juice on bets that you already like, instead of forcing you to bet something new. Every play feels bigger, and the boost makes your bets feel that way too. You make your picks, then apply your profit boost to go after even bigger payouts while the playoffs get rolling. So visit FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. If you grab your profit boost pick every NFL game day, there's so many different things you can bet on FanDuel right now. You guys have to head over, whether it's an NHL, NBA, college basketball, whatever you want. There's so many different things. The NFL playoffs. There's so many different things on FanDuel. So guys, make sure you guys head over to FanDuel right now. Let's talk a little bit more about Maryland football, who just got 2 players on their defense back, which I think is really big for Maryland football. We keep getting good players back, and I'm here for it. I'm excited about it, and I think it's important for these things to kind of happen for Maryland football. But 2 young guys back, 2 freshmen from last year re-signed with Maryland, which I think is going to help a ton on the defensive side of the ball. We continue to get players that are good players, that are going to help Maryland football. And this defense continues to look better and better and scarier and scarier, to be completely honest. And I like where this thing is going for Maryland football. I think the team looks good, and we continue to get really good players. But the first guy we get back is this kid, Nasir Taylor, who I think is a big get back for Maryland football. It's a depth piece on the defensive line, but also a good player. And this is kind of where I think Maryland football can improve on. Is there's a certain level to our starters. I'm not saying the starters are all world, but in terms of position groups that need depth, like the defensive line is a good example of that. I never have felt like we've had guys behind our starters that I feel really good about. Nasir Taylor, the freshman from last year, defensive lineman, you can kind of put him on different spots on the line, whether he wants to kind of play in the interior or he wants to play on the edge. He can do a little bit of it all. Like, he's big enough at 6'3", 260 to be able to do that. Had 2 sacks last year, appeared in every game, like really good player last year on Maryland's defensive lineman. And don't forget, he did this as a freshman. Like, he was a contributor on the line as a freshman. So it wasn't like this kid was like a senior. Like, this kid still has the potential to be really good for Maryland football, like a high level, starting level type of player. He did get overshadowed a little bit because not Jaden Ships. That's the second guy I want to talk about. Guys like Sidney Stewart were playing at such a high level. Zahir Mathis. And then obviously on the offensive side of things, guys like Malik Washington, like some of those guys, Carlton Smith, were playing at a really high level. But Nasir Taylor went under the radar and had a really solid year. And so, like, I want to say a depth piece, but it's also like not. It's just a really solid body to have back on the defensive line. And I think it matters for Maryland football. I think he helps. He kind of plays that edge spot, and you're going to have 4 really good edges. Like I said, you can kind of kick him inside. He's kind of good anywhere. You're going to have 4 really good edges. Obviously, Sidney Stewart's here. Zion Ely's the #1 recruit in the nation, arguably. And then Nasir Taylor's continues to play at a high level, Plus, a guy like D.D. Holmes is still around too for depth. Like, it looks good on that defensive line. Like, honestly, looks pretty scary with the youth of that group. Hopefully, they stay healthy, but to me, it looks really solid, and it looks like an exciting crew that might be able to get some things done for Maryland football. So I do think that'll be interesting, and we'll see how that ends up coming together. But I think that could work for Maryland football, and I love where that's at. And I thought that was a guy that maybe could transfer just because you have some guys in front of you that are good players. But for him to be part of our rotation, keep guys in and out and good players, I'm excited about that. I don't know about you guys. And then a guy that I think could blow up next year, could be a starter next year for us. And I've talked about him, I don't know when it was. It wasn't too long ago, a couple episodes ago. If you guys saw, I think I talked about him in the second segment, sophomores that could make a jump or freshmen that can make a jump sophomore year. And it's a kid, Jaden Ships. Spalding, we just added the Spalding head coach, so you wonder if that has anything to do with that. But Jaden Ships could be really good. Could be a really good player, has all the size, the attributes to play anywhere in the secondary. He played a lot, appeared in every game as well as a freshman. Let me remind you, he was kind of always grouped with Malik Washington, made his commitment with Malik Washington. Both guys went to Spalding, DMV guys, and Jaden Ships' his own really good player. Another one of those guys from last year who was coming back. That's why I was like, okay, Braden Lee, we lose. Like, it's not the worst thing in the world. It was like, okay, Lakai Rowland, we lose. Not the worst thing in the world, because I knew Jaden Ships might be better. Kevin Humes might be better than all of those guys. Like, I'm just saying. Might be better than all of those guys. And so I'm excited to see what Jaden Ships can do. He could potentially be our starting nickel back, and you could look at, I think Joyner's going to be back. We know Jamar Glasser is going to be back, and those two guys on the outside. Don't forget, we got the kid from BC that could be really good as well in the secondary, and Amari Jackson. There's some depth on this defense. There's some depth that I'm excited about. And so, and then the safeties, obviously, you're gonna have Le'Veon Scruggs is back, Gavin Edwards is back, Messiah Delhomme. There's a lot on this defense, but to focus on Jaden Ships, him coming back gives us youth in the cornerback room, a guy that I think has a really high ceiling, long, tall corner. We can play. He played on the inside. I think he could be really good on the outside as well. We'll see if he ends up playing the nickel position. He played a lot of that last year, but he's a guy that's a good player that could end up playing a lot of football for Maryland. So could make a lot of sense. We'll see what ends up happening, but I do think Jaden Ships, pretty good player, makes a lot of sense, and I'm really glad that he's coming back. So I'm excited to see how Jaden Ships progress, and if he makes that jump, we could be talking about him with all these other guys on the defense side of the ball that have kind of made their names. I'm telling you, there's some talent on this side of the ball. The offense, I'm not sure yet. We obviously have the quarterback. I think the tight end room, like whatever. Defensively, there's no reason for, and I'll say this another day, but there's no reason for this unit to not be a top 6 or 7, not to make a joke, but top 6 or 7 unit in the Big Ten. I think it's possible. Like I think it should be there, and I think it could even maybe be better than now. Like, could surprise a lot of people. The talent's honestly there. If it stays healthy, if things work out the way we want them to, the talent's there for that defense to really be good this year. We'll see if it ends up happening, but I really like some of the pieces. Let's preview Maryland's basketball's game against Michigan State this weekend. Talk about my thoughts on that, what I think is going to happen next. Tax season doesn't have to take over your life, and this year TurboTax is making it easier than ever to just hand things off and move on with your day. With TurboTax Full Service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert start to finish without the stress or guesswork. Instead of spending hours trying to figure out forms, you can meet with local TurboTax experts in person or connect online. They handle everything from W-2s to self-employed forms and work to get you every deduction. You can upload your documents, go about your day, and get updates right in the TurboTax app. It's a huge time saver and gives real peace of mind knowing an expert is handling it. And for a limited time, you can save your taxes done by local TurboTax expert for just $150 all in. And if a TurboTax expert doesn't file for your last year, just file by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life with TurboTax.com/local to book your appointment today. All right, Maryland basketball. You have another opportunity against a ranked opponent with not a whole lot on the line for you, but Maryland plays Michigan State tomorrow at 12. Will be an interesting game. I'm definitely kind of tune in, see what happens with that game, but not a game we expect Maryland basketball to win. I'll go ahead and say that. I don't think anybody expects Maryland basketball to beat this Michigan State team that's been pretty good all year. This Michigan State team definitely has some potential to be maybe a Final Four team, be one of the better teams in college basketball. And you have Maryland basketball on the other hand, maybe one of the worst teams in Power 5 college basketball when you include the Big East and some of these other teams that are pretty good. Like I think Maryland basketball, when you look at it, probably is in the bottom there. And you never know. I'll go ahead and say this. I expect Maryland basketball to get blown out by Michigan State. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to act like I expect us to win the game. I think it's going to be extremely hard to score on a Michigan State defense that's been pretty good all year. And Tom Izzo has kind of hung his hat on having good defense. And especially a Michigan State team that's pretty experienced. It's not like a cute basketball team that like they got two guys that are going to go top 10 to draft. That's not this Michigan State team. They're pretty experienced. Have a lot of guys that have played a lot of basketball, and it's shown being the number 10 team in the country, 17-2 overall, 7-1 in the Big Ten, and they're also always known for rebounding as well, which is something that Maryland struggles with. So I'm like, I don't really know how we're going to be good. But when you focus back on the defensive side of the ball, it's always something Tom Izzo prides himself on. It's a big reason why Michigan State is really good. They have the highest defensive rating among Division I schools, just 89.9 points per 100 possessions. So leading up to the game against Maryland, 6 consecutive opponents have failed across the 67-point threshold, which is pretty crazy because they've played some like solid Big Ten teams and teams can't score on them. So it's definitely something to look out for. So I want to see what the deal is if Maryland has the ability to score on Michigan State. I'm going to go ahead and say I doubt we're able to score. I doubt we're able to kind of get to be able to get a high percentage shots like consistently. I just don't see Maryland basketball being able to do that. I just don't think we have that type of talent, but you never know. The Michigan State team is also not like an insane offensive team, so maybe we can stick around that way. They're similar to how we were last year. They rely a lot on like kind of 4 guys with Fears, Carr, Kohler, and Carson Cooper. They're big down low for sure. Like I said, the rebounding definitely could be something that really hurts us in this game, but they're not like crazy offensively talented, I would say. Like they have some guys that play the right way, but it's not guys that are like going to go get you 25 points. Like that's not what they are, but they are definitely a team that is pretty good offensively. I just don't think that's like what they're great at, but defensively they're elite. So you kind of wonder how Maryland's able to match up against them. 17.5-point spread. So similar to our last game where I was like, Maryland might be able to keep it close. 17.5 points on the road in East Lansing. What can you do, Maryland basketball? Can you keep it within 10? Like that might be a win for us. Like that might be a win. And you don't want to take any moral victories, But keeping this game somewhat close is probably a win against one of the better teams in the country. And I think Michigan State is a kind of an example of what Buzz Williams wants to do at Maryland. Like, it's not necessarily like out talent everyone. Like, that's not what Michigan State is. Like, in terms of talent, they're talented for sure, but it's not like a top 10 talented team in the country. They're just really going to play hard, play defense, run offensive sets, really well coached, and they're going to win a heck of a lot of games doing that. So it'll be interesting to watch. But that's all we have for today. Thank you guys for listening to Locked on Terps. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. We're every day talking Maryland football and basketball. So thank you guys for listening to Locked on Terps.